Folks, I think most of you in this room know a little bit about my background. The fact is I'm a graduate of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. I was there the day of the shooting. At the time, I was a member of the Coral Springs City Commission, the city right next door, about half the student body. And just like Representative Hunchofsky and I, we have dealt every day since then trying to heal a community, but also trying to make sure that something like that never happens again. And look, I'm a proud supporter of the Second Amendment. I've had a concealed carry permit. I don't think anybody in this room is coming for your guns, but we're asking for reasonable and responsible gun ownership. And that's not something that this bill supports. In the wake of the shooting at my alma mater, you had the Marjory Stoneman Douglas Public Safety Act, the most significant school safety and, yes, gun safety reform in this state in decades. And now we're seeing proposals like this. We're seeing proposals to scale back the progress made in the MSD Public Safety Act. And that really is concerning, and it's hurtful, honestly. We've heard a lot about, well, show me the stats, show me the stats, show me the stats. Well, when we show you the stats, you say, not those stats. Not those stats. There's plenty of stats. Everybody loves stats. So let me share some stats, right? As recently as a couple weeks ago, the UNF poll came out and said 77% of Floridians, not 77% of Democrats, not 77% of Republicans, 77% of Floridians oppose this measure. 62% of Republicans oppose this measure, by the way, for anybody paying attention. 22% increase in the homicide rate in states that have passed permitless carry. A 13% increase in law enforcement involved shootings in states that have passed permitless carry. Now, we're a state that loves to say we back the blue. Good, maybe we should listen to them on this issue. And I'm not talking about the elected sheriffs who have a partisan elected position, who may or may not be afraid to step out in the limelight on this issue. You've got a number of them who have been opposed. I'm talking about the boots on the ground, the men and women, the officers who are going to have to deal with this on the ground. In 2021, there were 7,600 permits denied for any number of reasons. Think about it for a second. 7,600 permits, people that wanted to conceal carry in this state who had that opportunity denied for one reason or another, whether it was background checks or because they didn't meet some other requirement of our law. That's, with this new law, that's 7,600 more guns on the street because they're not gonna know that they're not permitted to carry in this state. The reality is, and again, I've gone through the process, right? Currently, you're required to have a background check, right? You fill out the form, you pay the fee, you have a background check. Moving forward, with all due respect to my colleague, there may not be a background check at all. Because if you purchase a firearm from a private seller, there's no background check. So play that out. I'm a person, I go and I buy a firearm from a private seller. I then have no background check. I then can carry that on my person if this becomes law with what? No background check. So what does that equal? No background check. Just to be clear, I want to air it out. Currently, you're required to have training. Now, I've heard folks on the other side say, well, it's not a great training program. It really is a joke. We don't need to, people, they just kind of show up and dry fire a gun. If that's your answer, then fix the training mechanism. Don't do away with it. Fix the training mechanism. You already heard one of my colleagues mention, listen, you need 600 hours of training to cut hair in this state. A bad hair day is a heck of a lot better than getting shot. And yet, if this bill becomes law, there is zero training required. 600 hours to cut hair, 0 to carry a firearm. That's nuts. The current situation works. I had one of my colleagues just rattle off a bunch of cities where a permitted gun holder stopped a bad guy with a gun. Great. But the key word he used was permitted, right? So you're recognizing that that individual has gone through a background check. You're recognizing that that individual has some proficiency with a firearm, and they were able to put it to use. Awesome. That's why the process is in place. That's great. I've also heard the argument that, well, criminals don't follow the law. Folks, with that rationale, why are we here? Why do we have any laws? Why don't we just do away with all the laws, right? We wouldn't ever do that. It's about the bad guy with a gun. Well, with this law, we're making it easier for the bad guy with a gun to go and do bad things with that gun. So in conclusion, if you support responsible gun ownership and you oppose making Florida less safe, and you understand that this really isn't about good public policy, this is about what I'm really gonna call it is political carry. I don't think it's permitless carry at all. I'm going to call it political carry because it is meant to advance the agenda of one individual, and that's our governor as he tries to be president. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.